This conference will now be recorded.
Okay, and then I'm going to log out so that we see how we log in. So this training is designed for front-level staff who will be responding to the queue. We want you to be able to have clear understanding of how to log in and how to react to the queue, open a case, have an encounter, complete that case, close that case, and what that looks like. So when you get your login credentials, it comes from admin@sms.astracorp.com. So similar to the URL that you go to access the website. And then you get in that email an activation link, and you just click that activation link and then use the email and password that's provided to you. If you don't get that email, just let your administrator know, or you can contact us at support@PreventionPays.com, and we'll go ahead and help you make sure that you get that email. We can resend it, or an administrator can resend it. And then once you activate your credentials, then you're forever able to log in by simply using the email address and password that's provided in the email. So we instruct you to go to the login page. We also instruct you to use your email and password, which are provided in that document or in that email. And then when you sign in, you come to whatever page you were viewing last. So if you're reviewing the users tab, which is where the queue is, then that's where you're going to be logging in and viewing. And then I can view the most recent 3, 5, or as many as 15 cases. You only have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 cases. At some point in time, though, that's going to be pages and pages and pages. So similar to your email, how your email archives, this queue archives. And the reason being is that live help by text tends to have a higher return rate than other channels. So there's a greater chance that you're going to have return customers. And we want you to be able to see when that client returns for more assistance. We want you to be able to see a complete transcript of everything that transpired, not just with what's happening in the moment today, but also what happened in past conversations, so that you have a more comprehensive record of the support that's provided on a client-by-client basis. And we will provide you with a comprehensive record. So there will be characteristics that are tied to that phone number that is asking for help. That's referred to as the attributes, or in this box right here is the inspector. And the inspector comes up the moment you click on a phone number. So each phone number has an inspector with things tied to it. In this case, it's the phone number and then the keyword or the zip code that they texted. And then we also put here in the data markers, we put the zip code that was used. And then we'll also include the county as part of our integration and integrated solution. We include county pop too. So you'll be seeing that too. Once you guys go live, you'll see the zip code and the county populate their profile in the data markers section. And then down at the bottom down here, you've got tools that you can. Sure.
Sure. If the phone number is transitioned to a different user, is there a way to separate the users out from the phone number if they're separate users? Like if somebody has a phone number that they use to the service for 6 months and then they change their service and somebody else grabs their number and they use it, is there a way to separate that out?
Sure. So if somebody gets a new mobile number that and it happens to be a recycled mobile number, which is very rare, but we do see from time to time, then you would need to update that profile. And yeah, you would need to update that profile. In fact, I don't know of a case where it has happened yet. Are you sure that carriers are recycling cell phone numbers?
Yeah, very sure.
Yeah, I mean, the population too that tends to reach out to us, you know, with mental health abuse, they don't always keep the same phone numbers. Which is
no, I know that, but rarely do we see a phone number that used the service prior under a different person, and then that phone number returns and it's a different person who's now associated to that phone number. If that happens, though, yes, you can, and you can clean up that profile simply by editing it and changing the information in the profile.
Beautiful.
You can delete things. You know, you can delete data markers that are associated to it. If you add a note, you can delete that note and put a new note in. Whatever you need to do to clean it up and make it right. You can also change a mobile number. Like, let's say a client contacts you and says, you know, I have a new mobile number, or I'm getting a new mobile number. Then you can update it to their new mobile number simply by clicking edit and changing that here and update. And everything that was tied to that previous mobile number is now associated to their new number, and it will be seamless to them. They'll just start getting texts from you that are sent to that new mobile number. And so go ahead and somebody with a non-AT&T case, can you go ahead and send your zip code now so that we can do a little test here?
I've done it before. Here we go. Will be good too for outbound with the notes. Follow up with people through text. The other king people about it. We'll run out of minutes. We can do.
Okay, there we go. Okay, so the phone number appears at the top of the queue. If I have the audio alert turned up, you would hear a soft little tone, and then the screen flashes, and then notifications you can check, and notifications is a pop-up window that runs on a 3-minute cycle, so that you can be reminded that you have a new unanswered text in your queue. And that notification runs as for that case for as long as that stays in the queue in an unopened status. So the moment I open up that case, I'm taking it off of notifications, right? Because I'm acknowledging it and assigning the responder role to it. And so then we'll pull that out of the notifications. But if it stays unanswered, then you'll just keep getting pop-ups every 3 minutes telling you you've got a new unanswered text from this phone number, and this is how old it is now. And if it's 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, so on and so forth, until somebody answers that text. Another notification option that you have is you can have a mobile phone alerted, and it works the same way that your pop-up window does. You get a text, though, sent to that mobile number telling you that there's a new text in your queue. And that runs, that doesn't repeat, but it's sent as a text to the phone number and then the phone number that you register. And then you can actually, if it's a smartphone, you can click on the phone number link in that text message, and it'll take you straight into the application and the conversation with the client. So you can actually respond with your mobile phone if you're away from the queue or you're away from your agency. That's absolutely possible to do that. And so Another way you can be alerted is you can have an email sent when a new text comes into your queue. So some agencies use that as an alternative alert system. So to do that, we just need a master email account that you want to set for that. And then we set it up as part of your queue. And then each time somebody texts you, we trigger an email to that account that says, hi, you've got a new text from this phone number. And we conceal, by the way, in the text message external and the email external, we conceal the identity of that phone number. We just give you the last 4 digits of it. But if you click the link in the text, or if you click the link in the email, it's going to pop you into the queue and conversation with that phone number. So it's just an additional way and notification for you to use, especially as you guys kind of get started and your traffic sort of gets going. You might have some intermittent traffic, and therefore you might want to use alternative notifications. So then I can also click new. Like, let's say my shift is starting and I want to see if there's anything new and unanswered. I can always go new, and it's going to show me exactly which cases are new and unanswered. And you may want to have like a machine just clicked on new so that you never miss a new text. If you're working on other cases and you're listening for the cues of that case, we just want to make sure that a new text isn't missed. And so, if you guys have multiple machines on the queue, maybe having one machine tuned to the new, or you yourself can be on new, and you can just pull the cases and work on the cases as you get those new cases. It's just that you might want to shift to another tab. For instance, when I take a case like this one, I become the responder, and then it comes off of new. So it's no longer in there because we don't have any new cases. It will be in the All tab, of course, and it will be in the Mine tab because I will be able to see the cases that I'm responding to. So play around with the different tabs and the settings and notifications, and see what works best for you guys. Each agency, each contact center is different and has different protocols and needs. So just kind of be aware of all of the features and functionality that's available to you guys, and then assess what your needs are going to be. And then when I'm on a case and I'm responding to the case, then I've got the text box, and I also have the canned phrases. And the canned phrases can be tuned as a group of responders, all using the same group of canned phrases, or they can be set to be specific to the responder who's logged in. So you can have personal canned phrases. An administrator oversees all canned phrase libraries. You can also design and segment out your canned phrases in groups. So you can have things like introduction that would be different from your in progress text, so that you don't have one long line or list of all these canned phrases that you use in a different order. We want you to make sure that you're able to tune your canned phrases to be consistent with how you're providing that live support. Some agencies use it by the time or where they're at with the conversation in order to design how those groups of texts are organized. Some agencies use it by taxonomy term or issue specific groups. And then some agencies use canned phrases for specific times of the year, and then they'll turn off that group of canned phrases when they don't need them anymore. Like, for instance, if you have tax season and you're providing support during that time, and you have specific canned phrases that are going to be helpful for tax season, but then the rest of the year they're not, set it up as a library that then you turn off after tax season ends. And to edit your canned phrases, you just can either launch the editing tools from there, or you can go to admin and then sub-tab canned responses. And then you just select the group that you want to work in. And if I want to change the order of how they appear, like for instance, if I want my in progress to follow my introduction group, I can prioritize them that way, right? So that they also, how they appear when you're responding to the case and how they follow would be consistent with the continuum of how you're providing that support. So my introductions, and then following that would be my in progress, and then following my in progress would be my closing text, and then my follow-up text if you use any kind of follow-up support. You can also set up messages that are similar to canned phrases but behave slightly differently, and they can be used for things like follow-up text, right? So, hi, you recently texted with 211. You requested a follow-up text to check in and see how it's going. Please text back when you have a moment. So I can set this message up to be manually schedulable. So not putting it to go out to a particular group, not having it be an alert, having it be something that's manually schedulable. And then when I go to the users tab, and then I look down here under my surveys and series, I now have that message, which I can delay any amount of time that I want, right? So if we have a 24-hour check-in, I could go 1 day from now, I want to send that check-in message. It's pretty cool. And then it queues up on the client side, it queues up under unsent. And then you can delete unsent messages if you made a mistake. So here are my sent. This is where all of my messages that have been delivered appear. Of course, right down the middle of the page. And then if I want to see anything that's queued for delivery to the client, I just toggle over to the unsent. And I'm going to actually delete this one because I don't want that one to go to this 585. I don't know who owns that number. Then, oh, we're doing the test. Is this one of you guys? Is it okay if we send text to this 585 number?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So I'll go ahead and you can see how that works. See how that works. You'll get that text tomorrow.
And Jonathan, can you also program like a quality assurance survey in there
Yep.
as well?
Yep. And you can hang a quality assurance survey on a client as well. So you can go post-encounter sample, for instance. And this I set up for you guys just to give you an idea of how the survey tools work. You can have a survey trigger at the close of a case and delay for X number amount of time. And then that survey goes out and you get the data and that person responds, and you're not doing anything to make that happen, right? It's just triggered based on you closing that case. Or you can have more of a selective manually assigned option where you're selecting the survey to assign to that client, and then you pick your own delay time. If you don't want it to delay at all, if you want it to go out right away, then you wouldn't put any delay in there. If you want it to go 5 minutes from now, then you can put 5 minutes, 5 hours, or however long you want it to delay. And then we can go click, and then now 5 minutes from now, the little sample post-encounter survey that I set up is going to go out, and we'll see what that looks like. If you make a mistake and you assign a survey incorrectly, just exit out and then reassign it. If you want it to go 1 minute instead of 5 minutes, then X out the one that's pending and then click and reassign it. And by the way, we have a setting that doesn't allow you to assign multiple same surveys to a client. There's actually a setting that we have on our side that prevents that from happening. So you can't mistakenly assign a bunch of surveys to go out to the client over and over and over again, right? Like Groundhog Day. Great movie, by the way. All right. So there you go. There's a pending survey. It's going to start in under 1 minute now, and we'll see that play out in real time. If you're on the case and you're viewing the case, then you'll see it. You'll see it happening. But you don't have to be. You can be not viewing the case. You can be viewing another case, right? And that survey is going to transpire regardless, right? Because we've assigned it, and now it's set to go. If you happen to be viewing it, then you'll see it, and you'll see it actually play out, and you can monitor it and watch it go. But you don't have to do anything to make that happen. You can also be closed on the case, and it will still fire. So you don't impact the case by being closed or open on the case or viewing another case. And then when that survey goes out, the client responds, and then you have in your data, there's a report called the survey responses report, and it has all of the data from the responses to that survey. And then you can edit the survey however you like. We provided a sample. If you do have changes or you have a survey that you want to use, then you just go ahead and send us that updated, revised survey.
You're probably going to get one tomorrow, Jonathan, FYI.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, absolutely. So then when you close out this case, it archives and it takes away the text box and it unassigns the case. But let's say this client is unresolved. Let's say I'm going home, my shift is over, and we don't have resolution yet, so I can't close this case, or I don't want to close this case because we don't have it complete. And rather than closing it and having it reopened by somebody else, what we're going to do is we're going to transfer the case to another responder. And so I can then transfer the case to whoever's coming online. And then when I transfer that case to that person, I get an update up here telling me I've successfully assigned that case to that responder. And then that responder gets a little note, a little ping that lets them know that that case has been reassigned to them. And then a case can be reassigned as many times as needed. So if you make a mistake, I didn't mean to reassign that case to Deborah, I wanted to complete it myself, you just go back and reassign it to yourself. The asterisk just means that you're currently online. And then you get the text back and you're resolving it and nothing's changed. But we refer to it as signing away your cases. If you've got cases that are actively open and you're responding to them and they're unresolved, then we recommend that you assign them away prior to leaving so that those cases are handled by the next person and that doesn't disrupt that continuum of the encounter. If you close the case, we're going to mark it as a complete encounter, kind of like hanging up the phone. If you hang up the phone, then that's an ended conversation. They would have to call you back, or you would have to call them back to have that conversation continue. In this case, rather than hanging up the phone, or rather than ending the text conversation, you're just transferring it. And then when you transfer cases away, also let's say you're coming online and the other person is leaving, and you see that they have cases that are open that are being responded to and they haven't been resolved yet, then you can self-assign cases. So you can take a case from somebody else simply by going to the assignment and self-assigning to yourself. And then you would get the text box, and you would take it from them, right? Another thing that you want to be mindful of, guys, is that you can have concurrent conversations, which is an important characteristic of the queue. When you do have concurrent conversations, then what happens is that you've got your primary, and if I just ISO mine, got my primary that I'm looking at, and then I've got my secondary or my background case. And then I can have as many background cases as can fit on this page. And I can even go beyond that. It's just that you won't be able to see the background case that's the longest without a response, incoming or outgoing. It would go off the page. So, but rarely do you have more than 2 or 3 concurrent cases. If you have concurrent cases, then you'll be able to see as they respond, you'll be able to see the primary and you'll be able to see the background case. It's wonderful. So you can monitor or work on concurrent cases. And with the flow of text communication, that actually tends to work pretty well. People aren't always as tuned in as they might be with a live, with a chat where you've got to be more present, where you're on your computer, they're on their computer, and it's more of a one-on-one back and forth. Whereas when you're on your computer and they're on their mobile phone, it's slightly different. They're more mobile. They can jump in their car. They can turn their phone off or set it aside, and they might not respond to your question in a super timely manner. In that case, you're going to develop protocols that are, how long do we sit on a case? How long do we monitor the case? How long do we, before we close the case, right? Do we keep it in our slate? And so as a team, you guys will design those protocols over time, what works best for you. When you complete a case, then you just close out that case, and then they'll exit your Mind tab as you resolve them. And if I want to respond to the 315 instead of the 585, I can either click it here, or I can click this View button. And then that's going to put the 585 in my primary and the 315 as the secondary or background case. So super easy to slip between cases, navigate between cases. Just make sure you kind of keep track of where you're at with each conversation, and that you're keeping track of what message you're sending to whom. Especially as you get your can phrases more tuned, it just takes some getting used to, right? That okay, now I'm in this place with this conversation with the 315, and you're kind of keeping a running record of where you're at with that, so that you don't mistakenly send a canned phrase to the wrong person. It's just getting used to. Okay, so as you complete cases, you close them out, and then if you isolate cases that you're working on, then those cases go out of your Mind sub-tab, of course, and then they're going to be back in all as closed cases. And yeah.
Sorry. Can you go over tagging cases?
Sure. So data marking cases. So you can data mark a case by making a note, or you can data mark a case by adding a data marker. And so for instance, if we provide disaster services to a client, then we can update that profile with a data marker or a tag. And that data marker becomes something that is stored in the system, in the database. It's part of their profile. It becomes part of their record. And then it becomes something also that you can send content to based on making that tag or making that note or data marker. So now, based on that problem need, I can send messages to that person. I can also put a note in their profile. So I can make a note, and then I can also sort now by that note, or I can get at that client by that note and group them accordingly, which is wonderful. Is that what you meant by tagging? Using data markers, notes to put on a profile to then send content to based on that profile notation?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. So where do I get to, or where do I sort the queue to get at that person based on that information? So you can go over to the Groups tab, and this Groups tab will, when you click Show and you click New, you can sort. This is all your phone numbers, but displayed in a slightly different way. And then you can sort by the phone number, or you can sort by the keyword, the zip code that they use, or you can sort by a data marker or note, right? And the data marker is disaster services. So anybody that I hung with that note is going to be now sorted. And then I can add, and then I can go disaster services. And then I can save that group. And then now I've got a custom group that I can send content to. So going here to send, and then select disaster services, and then type my message and send it. Super cool. Groups tab is actually something that has become one of the more attractive tools that 211s and INRs use. That's because it's so simple to aggregate some clients and make a little custom group and send them content. It escalates your production. You know, it really escalates and creates some efficiencies. You know, imagine, for instance, if you get a burst in calls, you can create groups of individuals and upload phone numbers. You could put mobile phone numbers into an Excel spreadsheet and build a group that's going to be a tailored group that's going to get content based on that Excel spreadsheet of phone numbers. So thinking along the lines of how you get calls sometimes. If there's, you know, a cold snap, or there's a new resource that's available that a bunch of people learn about all at one time, you know that can hit your phones hard and it can be difficult to work through. Well, imagine kind of balancing that out a bit with text, using text to get those people the same information that you're going to be giving them by phone, but then rather, you know, hey, you know, if you just give me your mobile number, I know what you're calling about. You're calling about da 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 da. If you just give me your mobile number, we're going to send that text out to you in a few moments. And then you put that phone number into an Excel spreadsheet, and you upload that list of mobile numbers, group them, and send them content. You don't even have to group them, you know, in advance. You can also use the Referrals tab for exactly that. So you can browse and upload if you're just going to send kind of a one-time off message to a group of callers, and you don't really envision having them need to be sent a group text at a later time, then don't group them. Don't go to Groups tab. Just go to the Referrals tab and browse, upload your Excel spreadsheet of mobile numbers, and put your content in here and click send. All those phone numbers all at one time. Get whatever content put into that box. And that's why I like to show you this Referrals tab, because it's an on-ramp to texting. It's not just a one-off, you know, single referral to a phone number. This is potentially something that can be, you know, sent to a lot of mobile numbers all in one time and solve, you know, a lot of efficiency issues. So this is the same thing that happens in the integrated solution when you select, if I were to put a single mobile number in here, and I were to put the referral in here, and I were to click send, that's exactly the steps we're taking with the integrated solution. But in addition to that, you also have some other functionality here. You can comma separate your phone numbers. You can browse and upload an Excel spreadsheet with multiple numbers in it, and then send them all content at one time. So just be mindful that that referrals tab is more than just what you might think of as kind of that one-off solution. Think about it in terms of, you know, being an on-ramp to SMS. If I do send a group message to that group of individuals, disaster services, and I send, I thought you might benefit from this resource, and then you put in a, you know, a link, and then if you don't pick a future date and time, then you just click send, it goes out right away. Or you can pick a future date and time. We'll pick a couple minutes from now. Okay. And then you get up here, group message created successfully. Then it goes to processed. And then you can see exactly what group message you created, who created it, when it was created, when it's going to go out, who's it going to, how many messages are actually being generated and sent, and then the content of the message that's being sent. So if this was a big group, right, we would be managing and seeing that there's multiple people getting sent this message. And then if I want to cancel that group text, I can cancel as long as it's before that specified time that we said it was going to go out. I can also go to the users tab and I can find the client that I put that on. There it is. Oh, no. What did I put that on? Did I put it on this one? Yeah, the 585. So there it is. And if I don't want this group message to go to this individual client, then I can individually cancel the group message rather than canceling it for everybody, which is kind of cool. I'm going to cancel this one because this one got away from me. I'm not sure who that one is. But we're going to let this one go out so you can see how that message goes out the day after it was set. All right, any questions? Do we have any questions at this point? A lot of stuff.
Pretty straightforward.
Yeah. What do you gentlemen think? I'm pretty quiet.
Straightforward.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh.
Resting.
Yeah, you know, I mean, it is. It's the users tab. It's responding to the queue, knowing how to do that, right? And then also being aware that you've got some other tools available to you that are on-ramps to additional ways to send messaging. But if you really compartmentalize it and just kind of, the users queue is how we're going to reply to the request for live support and get a few tests under your belt, see how that works. And I think you're going to feel confident. And then as an agency, you guys will hone the settings, right? You're going to work on the settings to make sure those settings are right and going to work best for you, the canned phrases, the data markers, all that. And then once you guys go live, you're going to let us know, hey, this is our live message that we're going to have for the live INR. And then we go ahead and swap the message out and have the live message go on, and you guys are ready to go.
Wonderful.
Nice. When are we going live?
So we're gonna try to figure out next. Do all you guys have your like your username, your password? You've gone in there and played with it a little bit.
No.
You'll probably want to.
Yes.
Yeah, you're not gonna break it.
No.
I started.
No, just be mindful that you use your own phone. You know, just be mindful that you develop a record. Now you can text stop after you do a test, and I'll show you what happens. It sends you a message that says you won't get any more messages, and then it becomes an opted out case, meaning that I can't open up the case anymore and send text to it. But any text that you send during your time that you're testing are going to be part of your record. So just be mindful of that and be professional.
Yeah. Makes sense.
So I'm going to send stop, and we'll see what happens. Actually, no, I can't send stop. AT&T is down.
Yeah, Tony has
so, I know. I keep thinking, that it's going to be fine, and it's not. So it's been a real point of frustration for the last couple hours, and we've been told that AT&T is resolving it, but boy, we sure do get when you get. Oh, well, no, you just texted stop. Okay, there you go. So when you're clicked on and viewing it, you can see what happens. It just becomes a line in the back of your queue, and it's an out status, meaning it's opted out, and I can no longer open this case up and send content to it. You can also go and look at opt-outs and just see that, okay, that case opted out or that client opted out by texting stop. If you ever wonder and you want to see just your opt-outs, go to the opt-outs.
All right.
Okay?
Okay.
All right, guys. Well, wonderful. If you